All right. Hi, Erin.
Hi, Jess. How are
Hi.
you?
Thanks so much for coming on today. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's sunny today, so I can't complain.
Sun is always a good thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially when we're all in our homes right now, a lot of
Hmm.
the time. So I'm thankful. So I'm so excited to have you on today and talk about your expertise in different areas of parent self-care. And I know that's a big topic right now as parents are giving a lot. So before we go into that, I just want to say that you you do a lot actually. You're a PCI certified parent coach,
Hmm.
right? You're a motivational speaker, host of the Powerful Parenting for Today Kids podcast, and
Hmm.
author and a mother of four. Oh my
Hmm.
goodness, how old are your kids?
Well, 17, 15, and 12. And our oldest daughter died of a heart defect when she was a baby.
Oh
She
wow.
would be 19 now.
Okay. Well, you have a story to tell, I'm sure, with your
Hmm.
story of motherhood. I'm so sorry that that happened, but thank you
Thanks.
for being vulnerable and sharing. And it was that. I mean, just curious, was that something that launched you into your career? A portion of that?
No, it didn't, because I worked as a therapist with families for, well, I had worked with them for 20 years before switching over to getting certified as a parent coach about 6 years ago. So I had already been working for maybe almost 10 years when she was born, maybe 8 years or
Okay.
so.
Okay. So it was uh, a process in the journey, and I mean, I'm sure you loved her very much, and still do.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, she definitely changed my life
Yes.
in ways that I could never have conceived of before. But I really feel that surviving her death, not just surviving it, but thriving on
Mm,
the other side of it, has really taught me how to overcome the most difficult challenges a parent can face. And so I really feel and hope that I am a source of hope and possibility for parents so that they can see that no matter how hard things are right now, it
mhm.
can get better. There is a way, there is hope, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that's a really important message with this pandemic right now.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So, I mean, again, thank you for sharing that, and I think that is a message we need to hear right now, and after. It doesn't. It's something we all need to hear. So, um, I know you had said taking care of yourself right now is really important as a parent, no matter what's going on.
Hmm.
So let's dive into that a little bit more. Um, so parent self-care,
Hmm.
something
But
that's been brought up.
yes, it's one of my favorite topics because I think it's kind of the scaffolding that that is underneath of a healthy family.
Mm,
It's not necessarily something that you see. It's kind of like the frame of a house. So without the frame, your house isn't going to stand up. So it's vitally necessary, but it might not be obvious from the outside. So what does self-care look like? It could look like different things for different people, but what does it look like for me? That's what I can share with you. It looks like, and what I try to encourage parents to address are what I call the four pillars of health. So,
great.
getting an adequate amount of sleep for your body, and it's different for everyone. Eating well, which obviously looks different from for everyone, but making sure that you're trying to figure out what foods fuel you and nourish you and which foods don't, and making sure you limit them and eat as well as you can and have a balanced diet.
Mhm.
So I don't tell parents what kind of food to eat or how much sleep to get. I just say you really need to get in touch with your own self and figure out what that is for you.
Mhm.
And then exercise, same thing, right? We all should be moving our bodies. And right now in this pandemic, where most of us are home, moving our bodies is even more important because we're not even getting the natural movement walking to and from the car or the store or work or whatever we're doing. And again, moving your body and exercise, that looks different for everybody. Some people might want to run, some people play sports, some people lift weights, some people do yoga, walk. I mean, it could be anything.
Yeah.
But it's really important to tune into your body and see what makes you feel good and energized and refreshed, and do more of that.
Absolutely.
And then the fourth pillar is reducing stress. And that's the
Ah,
biggest one,
yes.
because I feel that under that pillar, under that umbrella is nurturing your mind, you know, stimulating your mind with things that teach you about yourself or the world, being creative, whether that's through music or drawing or writing or whatever, and bringing mindfulness into your life with um, reducing that clutter, that chatter that's constantly in there, and trying to kind of give your mind a break to rest a little bit. I
Hmm.
think that's really important. Connecting with our loved ones, connecting with ourselves, all of these things are important any time of life as a parent. And it's even more important now that we have all these added stresses with this pandemic, with being home, kids doing online schooling. Maybe we're working from home. Maybe we've got financial stress. Maybe we've lost our job or we're furloughed or laid off. There's so many new things, new stresses, not even to mention the concern and the worry about getting the virus, if you actually got the virus, if your loved one got it, if you lost a loved one, God forbid, from it. There's so many new stressors on us right now. There's never been a better time to bring self-care into your life. It is absolutely critical right now.
So that really, this is something we cannot fail to do. So,
No.
with kids being home more of the time for parents, I know sometimes this can be a challenge.
Hmm.
So, do you have maybe any stories to or examples in your life of how you still make time for that despite everything going on and the kids being home all the time and different things, and then maybe some examples of what happens when you don't do that. you know we
Yes.
fail to do it. I mean, there might be consequences, and then some examples of how to do that.
Well, I've got a couple of quick and good stories to illustrate some of this.
Yeah.
First of all, I was talking with a colleague yesterday, and she has her son has autism,
Mm,
and they actually live in New Zealand. And
okay.
life with him has been challenging, and he's typically very high energy and high needs. And she told me yesterday, she has noticed that since they've been in quarantine for a few weeks, his energy is lower and calmer. But she notices that the energy of the house is calmer. Her daughter's calmer, she's calmer, her husband's home, and their son is enjoying the extra time with his dad, who's usually leaving every day to go to work.
Yeah.
And so her husband is finding ways to do things with their son, whether it's bike riding, walking, catching a ball, whatever, and he is loving this time, and it's grounding him as a child, and it's just beautiful. So even
Well,
that's an example of even someone with a special needs child is finding the benefits that are hidden in this global crisis.
absolutely. And it's almost like the unity of the family is creating a different environment that is
Hmm.
productive and thriving. um,
Hmm.
that's really powerful. And the fact that I mean, a kid has special needs or not, it's almost like that just emphasizes what's going on, right? It's they just don't fake things. Right.
Right.
They're very open.
Right.
From the friends that I have who have kids like that and who are like that. So it's really beautiful actually to hear that story. Well, go on. You have some more.
So the other story that I have is what self-care has looked like for me during this pandemic
Yeah.
and this quarantine period. I think we're in the middle of week 5, although the days and the weeks are really blending together.
Right. What day really is it?
It's funny. We had a conversation yesterday. My niece who lives with us, she said, "It's Wednesday, right?" And I said, "I'm pretty sure it is, but let's do a vote and see what the majority think." So we get a kick out of losing track of days.
Yeah, we'll just vote, and that'll
Yeah.
be the answer.
Ah. So anyway, in this quarantine, I've noticed that my entire house has been going to bed later. Everyone's going to bed later. It's kind of like summer, right? Where everybody's
Yeah.
bedtime creeps up, but we're also sleeping in later. So I know for me, I'm getting 2 hours more sleep per day than I do when they're going to school every morning because my
Wow.
bedtime got a little bit later, but my sleeping in got a lot later. So it's beautiful. I'm loving it. I'm getting like 8
Great.
hours of sleep a night. It's wonderful.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, so more sleep
Yeah.
has been really a beautiful thing.
Hmm.
And um, the eating hasn't really changed too much. It's pretty much the same. Thankfully, we're able to get most of the things that we normally would purchase at the grocery store. So that's been a blessing.
Okay.
And reducing stress by doing those other things, the eating, the sleeping, and the exercise, it reduces, and the mindfulness and the meditation, it reduces my stress, which allows me to create a more peaceful environment in my home, which positively affects my husband and my kids and my niece and my brother-in-law because there are 7 of us under the roof right now.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's going beautifully.
Good.
Occasionally we have our eruptions or, somebody's sad or frustrated or discouraged about what they're missing out on. But for the most part, it's been really good. But the really critical part for me that I've noticed is exercise.
Mm,
When
me
we were in
too.
the first, what?
I said me too. I Go ahead though. I'll share mine after you share yours.
Okay. So in the first few weeks of this, uh, I was very aware that we were in collectively as a world, but specifically in the U.S. because it was kind of hitting us as it marched around the
Yes.
globe.
Process. Yeah.
But we were collectively in this what I call the sprint phase of the quarantine, where we were all racing and checking the news and what's happening with school and are they doing online classes and what's happening with my work and am I staying home and this and that. Can I still go to the grocery store? What does it look like? What's shutting down? There was so much frenzied energy as we were all trying to quickly adjust to what was happening. And when we were in that, in my house, it lasted about a week and a half. And during those 2 weeks, I would say my exercise was not good. I wasn't getting to it. It just was falling off the list.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that if I went 3 days without exercising, by the 3rd day, I was grouchy, irritable, discouraged, stressed. I could feel myself wanting to bark at the people around me. And several times I got to that day 3 and I said, "Oh my gosh, I can't stand it. I'm going for a run right now. I have to get out of here."
Yeah.
And then I would go and I wouldn't come back until I felt like I had wrung all that stress out and I was exhausted. And then when I walked back in the house, I literally felt like I unloaded like 20 pounds of pressure off of me.
Wow. You were a new person.
Yes. And so about a week and a half into the quarantine, I noticed that we shifted from the frenzied pace of the adjustment and the sprint
Yeah.
of it to
Mm-hmm.
the marathon of it. So the energy level went a little bit down from the frenzied adjustment, and then we were trying to get into a routine and kids were getting more discouraged and there were some more long-term things that were coming up. And so I became very aware that we needed to all of us have some kind of a routine, create some kind of a routine out of this routinelessness that we're in,
Yeah.
so that we could still maintain some structure in our lives. So I encouraged everybody to create a flexible routine. There's no reason to be strict right now unless
No.
a really strict routine makes you feel good, in which case go for it. If your child does better with a more strict routine, go for it. But if they need structure but flexibility, do that.
Hmm.
You know, whatever works for you. So now I've noticed that since we shifted into the grind and the marathon of it, I'm much better with exercising every day. And even if it just means going for a long walk, some days on my lighter days, I'll do that. And just making sure I do that every day literally just takes all the stress away. I just don't have any. I,
That's,
I don't
and
know.
that's awesome. And that's what they, and it's funny because I just interviewed a health coach, and she said the same exact thing. It's
Mm.
just reduce your stress, whatever you have to do that. And it's funny, this pandemic is bringing up things that were already there, right?
Mhm. It's magnifying them.
It's just magnifying them, right? And so it's almost like in some ways a pause to where you can address those things in a more conscious effort, a more conscious
It's a
way.
beautiful pause. And I've also been very careful not to use the phrase when we get back to normal,
Mm-hmm.
because I really strongly do not want to go back to where we were as a species on this planet.
Yeah.
We have a beautiful opportunity in the midst of this global crisis. We have a beautiful opportunity to hit that pause button. Well, it was hit for us. We were forced to pause.
Yep.
But now that we're paused, we have a beautiful opportunity to look at every layer of our life, from our finances to our health, to the way we spend our time, to the quality of our relationships with other people and ourselves. We can reevaluate all of it
Yes.
and decide what we really want to take forward with us and what we want to let go of or stop doing. And we have the possibility, the potential, and the opportunity to come out of this virus. You know, I'm not talking about when we lose loved ones or we get ill. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about for those of us who are home staying safe.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the frontline workers, the grocery store clerks, the food chain workers, and the healthcare workers. I'm just talking about the rest of us who are home trying to not get infected or infect anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
We have a great opportunity to take this time and create the life that we've always wanted. We could actually create that on the backside of this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I love that your perspective is grow through this, right? Growth.
Mhm.
Don't go back to
Mm-mm.
why would you want to do that, right? Because we're always changing and we're always growing, and it is a beautiful time to evaluate that. And
Mhm.
again, God bless those people who are on the front lines and helping,
Mm.
and working right now. So I'm so thankful. And um, I love your energy and just how you say that with so much grace. Thank you for sharing that in the way.
Thank you.
Yes. And well, kind of going back to the activities, um, what I've been doing is I've been FaceTiming my friends and working out over FaceTime.
Oh,
Uh,
that's so smart.
yeah,
I
so
love it.
6:30 tomorrow. So today's gonna be 6:30. Yesterday was 1:30. So it's whenever we're all free, and we show up, and that's been so helpful. And I'm thinking, why don't I do this anyways?
All the time, right?
It's like we don't have to drive anywhere. We make sure we get our exercise in, and we have a lot of fun. We have a little dance party after.
I
Um,
love that.
we get to music, so that's what I've been doing. And again, I kind of had the same thing where you had a little frenzy for a little bit. I let it all fall off, and then I said, okay, what can I do? And
Mhm.
so that's I've been having fun. I've been having a lot of fun. So going to some activities, do you have any other things that have kind of equipped families through this time that are creative, that maybe outside the box a little bit. I mean, you work with different clients right now, I'm sure.
Hmm.
There's a bunch of different stories coming up. So, can you think of anything else that you, off the top of your head, that's kind of like, oh, yeah, that's been creative but fun for people?
Well, I have two things that I can share that's been kind of fun, but this is like a collective effort.
Yeah.
Uh, in our neighborhood, those who want to participate drew a colored rainbows and taped them in our windows so that when we go for walks or bike rides, especially if we have little ones, it gives them something to look forward to because they're looking at everyone's house and seeing if they have a rainbow in their window.
Wow.
So that's just been lovely to ride and walk around the neighborhood and see just splashes of color popping out of people's windows. It's beautiful. And so that would be like a neighborhood effort, right?
Yeah.
But then, well, one of the things I've been doing to support parents through this is a daily webinar every day at 12 Eastern. And so on one of my webinars, a viewer told me in the chat that she actually sent it to me and I shared it out on my social media. She printed out a Winnie the Pooh off of the internet,
Yeah,
and
okay.
then she took construction paper. So she taped Winnie the Pooh to the glass screen door of her home. And then each day she took construction paper, and she did this for I think 2 or 3 weeks. She took construction paper and she made Winnie the Pooh a new outfit. So one day he was a nurse, one day he was a doctor, a
Yeah,
firefighter, a teacher, um, I think a gardener, a farmer, like all these different things. And so each day when the families would walk around with the kids, they would get to come by and see who Winnie the Pooh was dressed as today.
that's so cute. Well, I'll
I
create
love
it.
that idea.
Yeah. See, I love that because it's giving people little things to look forward to, especially
Mhm.
kids who maybe
Mhm.
don't know how to express what's going on right now, or the disappointment of not seeing their friends, or
Mhm.
there's a lot. And I think that's just beautiful. I mean, I'm obviously, older than 18, but I would look forward to that.
Right. It's fun, right?
Yeah. And I think that's so fun. So and we all have a little kid inside us. I feel like that it is. They just look forward to funny things.
Right. And
Yeah,
then for those of us who are creative, what a fun way to express our creativity when we might have too much time on our hands.
exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. I think that's beautiful. And I mean, the last thing we're talking about, we can touch on it real quick before we wrap up. We're going to wrap up soon here, but family dynamics. I mean, you can use examples from your clients or you, but how are those changing? Um, and how can they address like conflict that comes up, for example? I know you gave an example of how it's calming some
Mhm.
families. That's beautiful. um and how about when conflict arises, how can people kind of deal with that real quick?
Well, I think the same thing that I said earlier about being compassionate and extending grace.
Mm,
That's number one. It's so easy for parents to get triggered by their child's behavior and for kids to get triggered by their parents. That's where the conflict comes in.
yeah. Hmm.
But I actually have a free resource that I am going to share with your audience, and it's called the Iceberg. And it is a picture of an iceberg, and it kind of shows you on the top. Like if you imagine a cross section of an iceberg, the top is the little chunk above the water, and then there's this huge part in the dark water underneath. So the chunk on the top is the behavior that you see, the temper tantrum, talking back, not cleaning their room, fighting with their siblings, what have you. And parents tend to get stuck on that top little piece.
Hmm.
But that and we have an urge to stop the behavior, control the behavior. That's why we focus on the behavior, and that's what we're seeing.
Hmm.
But there's this huge piece underneath that we can't see, but really what that is the unmet need that your child has.
Hmm.
Maybe Maybe your child needs some exercise and they haven't been getting it. Maybe they're really missing their friends and that's why they're talking back to you. Maybe they're feeling out of sorts or afraid, or they're ungrounded because they don't get to see their teachers like they used to. There
Yeah.
could be so many needs under the surface. So what I encourage parents to do is to see behavior as a messenger, not the thing to focus on, but to see the behavior as a messenger that has shown up to tell the parent that there's an unmet need that their child has. So
Yeah.
then rather than reacting to the behavior and engaging in more conflict, to put their detective hat on and say, okay, my child's having a temper tantrum, my child's fighting with their sister. What is going on for them right now? What need is happening? And what am I seeing? What is there that needs to be addressed? So if you look at behavior that way, it helps you not to be as triggered so that you yell, scream, threaten, punish, whatever you do. You stop thinking about controlling the behavior and you say, let me see why the behavior's here. And if you can figure that out and try to meet that need, a lot of times the behavior will either diminish or disappear without the need for punishment.
Yeah.
It's the coolest thing ever.
So you're going to the root of the issue versus
Exactly.
what's just hovering on top.
So instead of, if you ask your child a question and they snap back at you and talk back to you, instead of staying at that level and I just asked you a simple question. How dare you talk to me like that? You're so disrespectful. Go to your room.
Mhm.
Or I'm taking away your phone, or whatever we parents tend to do, right? Because we've done it all.
Yeah.
Instead of that, maybe instead say, wow, you you're really upset right now. I just asked you this simple question and you snapped at me. What's going on? How can I help you? Just like that, like with curiosity and with support and compassion. And you do that by looking at the behavior as a messenger and not the thing to focus on. So if you can do that, I mean, I know we're talking about it in a very condensed way, but your viewers can get the download of the iceberg and the explanation off of my from the link that I shared with you. But if you can do that, it will drastically transform how you and your child interact with each other.
Wow. That is so much value. I know you kind of saying it's condensed, but even just those simple questions, taking a moment to breathe, asking that, and I mean, I'm even thinking with different friends that I have. I mean, everyone, it's everyone might have a little bit of stress right now or things that they can't explain.
And you're so right. The iceberg applies to everyone.
Yeah.
I've got an iceberg on my website. A parent's behavior is an iceberg. A child's behavior is an iceberg. Teacher's behavior, your significant other's behavior, your parent, your neighbor, your friend. We're all just floating icebergs. So when the person driving down the street feels like you cut them off and they drive by and yell and give you the finger, instead of being triggered by that, just think, wow, I wonder what happened to them that they're so angry that they have to scream and yell at me. They don't even know who I am.
Yeah.
Or when you get in a spat with your partner because they're not doing X, Y, or Z, or you expected this and they didn't do it, or whatever, maybe you say, or you ask them a question, they snap at you. Instead of getting angry with them, just say, wow, you seem really stressed. Is there anything I can do to help you? That completely bypasses the fight.
Yeah, it does. Well, that is useful. I'm going to take that and run with it. And you add so much value, Erin.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so much fun working with parents, and it's just really, I'm so blessed to be able to do this work.
Yeah, and I'm sure the blessing is when you see those breakthroughs, just little ones.
Mhm.
When you're tweaking just a little bit there, and you see a huge breakthrough. I mean, that's what I'm seeing right now. So thank you so much. You add so much value. I'm so excited to get this out to my parents, and I'm keep collaborating. I mean, when I have kids, I'm going to be coming and knocking at your door because I love how you explain things and just the grace that you bring. So
Oh,
thank
thank
you
you.
so much. Yes.
Thank you, Jess. It was
Yes.
a pleasure.
Yes. And your family stay safe and healthy in this time.
Yes, same to you.
Thank you.